Good morning, class. Today we are going to continue our lesson which we took it, which was passive and active. Active voice versus passive voice. In active voice sentences, the subject does the action. Sentence structure, it's going to be subject plus action verb plus object. The object who is receiving the action. For example, dogs bury bones. Number 2, Sandy takes cupcakes each Monday. This is the active voice, where the subject does the action. Let's see the passive voice. In passive voice sentences, the subject receives the action. Sentence structure is going to be subject plus auxiliary verb plus past participle plus object doing the action. The first one in active voice was dogs bury bones. Let's see, when I want to change this sentence to passive, it's going to be bones are buried by dogs. Let's see sentence number 2. Sandy takes cupcakes each Monday. Now this sentence was an active sentence, right? So I wanted to change it to a passive sentence. It's going to be cupcakes are taken by Sandy each Monday. So it's clear now. Let's revise it once more. In active voice sentences, the subject does the action. So the structure of the sentence is going to be subject, action verb, plus object who is receiving the action. However, in passive voice sentences, the subject receives the action. So the structure of the passive sentence is going to be subject plus auxiliary verb plus past participle plus object doing the action. Now let's see our PowerPoint. Active and passive verbs. When the subject of the sentence is doing something, the verb is active. Example, the man wore a gray hat. Subject is the man, the verb is wore, and object is the hat. Let's see the passive. When the object of the sentence is having something done to it, the verb is passive. The gray hat was worn by the man. The gray hat was worn by the man. So the object hat, the verb worn, and subject is the man. Which of these sentences is active and which is passive? Now we are going to say if it is an active sentence or a passive sentence. The girl fed the horse. Again, the girl fed the horse. Very good. It's an active verb. The pencil was held by the caterpillar. The pencil was held by the caterpillar. Very good. It's a passive verb. Change the sentence to the active verb. The bowl was balanced on the seal's nose. Again, the bowl was balanced on the seal's nose. This is a passive sentence. We want to change it to active. The seal balanced the bowl on his nose. Now remember, a verb is active when the subject is doing it. A verb is passive when the object is having something done to it. And that's the end of our PowerPoint. Let's see an exercise. I'm just going to copy it like that, close it, then having to paste it on the smart notebook. Okay, now I want you to try to think about sentences, active and passive sentence. Okay, now we have exercise to change the active voice sentences to passive voice. Let's see the first one. The artist sings a song as he paints. Now remember that we want to change the sentence from active voice to passive voice. The artist sings a song as he paints. Let's see the answer. A song is sung by the artist as he paints. Let's see another one. The little girl pounds the piano when mad. The little girl pounds the piano when mad. Let's see the answer. The piano is pounded by the little girl when mad. Let's see sentence number 3. The man with no teeth wants new dentures. The man with no teeth wants new dentures. Let's see the answer. New dentures are wanted by the man with no teeth. New dentures were wanted by the man with no teeth. Sentence number 4. Many of my friends surf the internet during class. The internet is surfed by many of my friends during class. The weatherman forecasts storms for tomorrow. The weatherman forecasts storms for tomorrow. Storms are forecasted by the weatherman for tomorrow. Sentence number 6. My grandfather made the chest of drawers for my wedding present. The chest of drawers was made by my grandfather for my wedding present. The talented cardiac surgeon saves lives every day. Lives are saved by the talented cardiac surgeon every day. Many of the stars perform concerts for their favorite charity. Concerts are performed by many of the stars for their favorite charity. Now, these were examples to change from active to passive. Now let's watch some videos.
We must learn to use the passive. The passive must be learned and used.
The wind shook the house. The house was shaken. We took what we could. Not everything was taken. We lost our pets, and that day they were not found. The wind broke down our house. It was thrown to the ground. Then we built a new house. It was built too fast to tell. We did the work together. It was done very well. We invited all our friends. Our friends were invited. All of them came with presents. We were happy and excited.
Okay, that was a video. Let's watch another one.
Hi, my name is Barry Rockhill. I'm from GBC Learning, and I'm going to talk to you about active and passive verbs. Before we start, let's have a quick reminder as to what a verb is. A verb is an action or a doing word. You probably heard it described in that way at school. So let's have a look at an example. The first sentence is, our cat walks on water. Amazing cat. The verb is walks because that's the action or doing word. I wrote to the client. Wrote is the verb. That's the action. Mary sent the email. Verb is sent. Stacy answers the phone. Again, answers is the action, so answers is the verb. Right, after that quick reminder of verbs, let's move on to this whole question of active and passive. Let's start off with the general rule of thumb that you'll see on Grammar Checks or the Plain English Campaign website, and that's prefer active to passive verbs. But what does it actually mean, and why should we be bothered about it? Let's have a look at an example. Sentence number 1 is active. John kicked Max. John is the subject of the sentence. The action is kicked, and Max is the object. John, the subject, is doing the action, so that's called active. To make it clearer, let's have a look at the opposite. Max was kicked by John. That's the passive version of the same sentence. And you can see that it's not as crisp, it's not as clear-cut, it needs more words, and in a funny kind of way sounds slightly more old-fashioned. In business writing, we want to try and keep the emphasis on the active rather than the passive. The key word is prefer, because there are times when you might want to use the passive. Let's have a look at the sentence we were seeing before, but in a slightly different form. Max was kicked. Why? Well, we don't know. So there are times when perhaps you want to introduce a little bit of suspense into your sentence that you might use the passive. You may wish to deliberately withhold information. There are times when you want to be less confrontational, less putting the blame on someone, so you will keep things deliberately vague. There are occasions when perhaps a more objective overview would benefit from the use of a passive verb. The rule of thumb is try and make 80 to 90% of your writing, particularly business writing, active. There we have it, active and passive verbs. If you'd like to know more, why not get in touch, come on one of our GBC Learning training courses. Thank you.
Okay, now that was the end of our video. So you have watched 2 videos till now. Now we are going to move to our booklets and start answering some of the exercise. Thank you.